My name is Matt Ellis. I'm with Cloudability, and I grew up in the United Kingdom, on a little seaside town called Brighton. Portland feels very similar. I came to the United States 10 years ago next month to live, but a few years before that I met my wife at a rodeo in St. Paul, and now we have 3 children and live in Vancouver, Washington. My first entrepreneur experience was when I was sent to boarding school under a government scholarship program, and I found myself at home with all my friends still at school and a lot of spare time on my hands. So I started to play with the computer my aunt had given me, and ended up writing software for money, some articles too. It was very interesting learning how to sell, how to be taken seriously at a younger age, and that eventually grew into a firm I founded at the age of 15 and took to 14 employees. It was a lot of hard work, but a tremendous learning experience, and something that carried me through for the rest of my career.
My name is Kenise, and I'm the founder and CEO of Puppet Labs. I have a degree in chemistry from Reed College here in Portland, Oregon, and right around the time I graduated, I had 7 jobs in 2.5 years. I'm not a very employable person, and many of those jobs I was fired from. And I think in many ways that made it so I was a lot more comfortable being fired from the next one. Much more interested in, if I'm going to be fired anyway, I might as well have a job that I'm going to learn something from. And within a couple of years of graduation, I found myself in a place where I either had figured out how not to get fired or had enough value that it was too dangerous to fire me, and kind of settled into a role as a Unix system administrator. And from there, my whole career focused on automation, and I took the ability to learn that I got taught in a chemistry program and applied that to the world I was in then. My father, for all of my childhood, basically ran a construction firm, and it was just, mostly just him doing remodeling of houses. And every day he'd work at the client's shop, the client's site, and then every night he'd come home and try to find customers and try to, do estimates and do the work that he needed to do today, so that when he finished this job, he had another job lined up. Did that for 20, 30 years, and had 6 kids. And I'm not saying we lived a great life, but we never starved. And to me, the risks that I take today pale in comparison to the risks that he had to take back then. And the challenges of running a growing company in a fantastically profitable space that has no CapEx, and I can afford to hire salespeople. It's humbling in a lot of ways to compare that to a world where it really is all on you. And my employees depend on me, but in no way do my employees depend on me to the extent that my children depend on me, or that my dad's children depended on him.
I'm John Merrick with Consumer Cellular, and we're an alternative to the big wireless carriers. So ultimately, we're a cellular phone company really focused on the senior market and affordability. I grew up here in Oregon, went to the University of Portland, and then started in the wireless industry right after that, working for what was Cellular One. So if anybody remembers that name, they became AT&T, which became Singular, which became AT&T Wireless again. And after working there for a number of years, we started Consumer Cellular. In terms of Consumer Cellular reflecting the same values as myself, I think that, or at least I like to think that, very, very similar. So, I grew up with a strong work ethic. I think that, kind of meat and potatoes is the way we think of Consumer Cellular. There's nothing really flashy there. We work really hard. And we try and provide a great service. Kind of the concept of treat others the way you want to be treated is really the way that we've kind of set our business philosophy as well, which kind of mirrors my personal philosophy. Certainly, as the company's gotten bigger and had more success, it's been great for us to be able to do things on a company level that mirror my and my wife's values as well, in terms of giving back to the community and those types of things.
You have to be very resilient. You have to always feel that there's an answer, that there's a way forward. The way forward might involve going a few steps back, but you just cannot think about giving up. In fact, I view giving up as almost not owning the problem. Sometimes I have to let go a little bit so that other people can own the problem, but you have to just look at everything as, what's the way forward here?
The only correlation to success is perseverance. The only thing an entrepreneur absolutely has to have is the ability to get off the ground and go back in again. It doesn't matter how smart you are, it doesn't matter how entitled you are, it doesn't matter how well trained you are, it doesn't matter any of those things. What matters is when you fail, are you willing to get up and take a risk again? You have to be willing to take risk. Frankly, taking risk is relatively easy, but you have to be comfortable periodically having your dreams dashed from your hands, stomped on by cold, hard reality, and then kicked into your feet. You just have to be able to deal with it. Get back up again and go back into the breach.
So I think if somebody were to ask me, they were looking at becoming an entrepreneur, trying to pursue something and wanted to know what I would suggest they do, I think the first thing is really to find good partners. Kind of like I said, you can't do it all yourself. You need somebody that's going to be able to support you well. So find somebody that you can partner with, potentially internally, but also businesses that you're going to work with externally as well. I think find a niche, find something that's going to solve a problem and set yourself apart, and then just go for it. Lots of times it's kind of that apathy or the fear of failure that keeps people from going. So I think, once you've done those first two, get started.